Welcome to another edition of The Way I See It with your host, Ralph Williams. And now, without further ado, Ralph Williams.
And good evening and welcome to another edition of The Way I See It. I am Ralph Williams in another epic edition tonight here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. We're live from the DJ Fun Studios here at Studios 808 right here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. Tonight we have plenty to talk about as we do every single Monday night in another epic edition. And I want to thank those who made the last edition my record-breaking viewing edition. And I want to thank you for that as well. And I hope that it continues to get better. Also, I want to talk with you tonight about the radio edition of The Way I See It coming soon. So keep it right here for information on the radio edition of The Way I See It coming up as well real soon. All right, tonight's Chinese wisdom. Integrity is doing the right thing even if nobody is watching. So that is tonight's Chinese wisdom right here on The Way I See It. And I want to thank everyone for watching tonight, those who are and those who are listening tonight. Happy President's Day as well. And tomorrow, I want to wish everyone who's not going to watch Sports Corner tomorrow a very happy Fat Tuesday. That's coming up tomorrow as well. And don't forget Sports Corner, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night on our regular platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. And don't forget also to watch the TV edition tonight at 10 o'clock of The Way I See It. I'm on a doubleheader tonight, 10 and 10:30, PCTV channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon Cable. Don't forget to watch and tune in tonight to the TV version of The Way I See It. All right, tonight we're going to start our blast section off tonight, and I want to talk about the assistant football coach at North Allegheny who decided on Monday night, last Monday night, that caused a big problem at a youth football game. You know what? Thanks a lot for doing that. Because I want to tell you something. That's unacceptable. You shouldn't do things like that at a football game. And I know you were trying to protect your child. And I realize that. Maybe something did happen with your child and you were trying to protect your child. I get it. I understand. Okay. But there's different ways of doing it. All right. You could have did it in a different way. And I know this day and age, and I've been the one that has said it many times, you know, in this day and age, that we have people who basically don't do anything about nothing. And that's exactly the case. But for you to get out of control to where you got arrested, okay, and now you could lose your job because of this, all right? That to me is dumb, and that is the way I see it tonight. Next, we're going to talk about the Shell Cracker Plant. Shell Cracker Plant has received fines recently. And in case you don't know where that is in the Monaca section of Beaver County. They just put it up last year. They just opened it. Already they've been excessively fined, and now they're releasing even more and more chemicals and getting people out of control. Okay, on this. All right. Now, the Shell Cracker Plant has really done, and I'm blasting you tonight, Shell Cracker Plant, because I say this before and I'll say it again. I gave you a break. I gave you a break when everybody was complaining about the environmental impact on this. I gave you a break 2 shows ago. Well, now it's your turn to be blasted here tonight because I'm finding out now that you're releasing excessive chemical that should not have been released. If you knew there was a problem, you should have found another way to fix it other than releasing chemical. All right, we have enough problems now breathing in this town and all over the surrounding area because of these kind of plants and everything else. So why in the world would you even consider that? That tonight is the way I see it. All right, next, the people who stole the 2,000-pound bell from a Squirrel Hill cemetery, shame on you. Why would you go to a cemetery and desecrate something like a bell? You had to be a junkies. All right, but if you're junkies, you really don't know how to drive a backhoe. All right, because you back the backhoe in. This is how stupid you are. You back the backhoe in the grass and you leave the tracks behind, and then you keep forgetting. You know, those of you who do things like steal bells and steal off of people's porches and steal, there are cameras everywhere. everywhere. That's why I'm blasting you tonight. Then you dumped it somewhere up in St. Clair Village. Didn't even have the decency to bring it back and put it where it belonged. Instead, you dumped it up in St. Clair Village. Okay, let me explain something to you. I know what you were trying to do. And guess what? You couldn't do it because it got out there. Because there's cameras, because everybody knows about everything. Don't you realize social media? No, you were looking for the almighty dollar to go out and buy drugs or go out and do something or turn it in because you're poor or you're broke or something's wrong with you that you needed this kind of money to go steal this bell from this cemetery. That is the way I see it tonight. Next, Norfolk Southern. You know what? I have a little problem with Norfolk Southern right now. There are DEP experts that are saying that the air quality is not good in East Palestine, Ohio. And you know something? I'm blasting you tonight, Norfolk Southern, because you're not taking the stand that you need to take. And then you're lying to the federal government. You lied to Pete Buttigieg. You lied to everybody else. You've lied to the community. You've lied to Beaver County. You have totally lied. Okay? You should stop lying. All right? That's unacceptable. Lying is not going to work. And Norfolk Southern, now you're going to be hauled to the carpet by the federal government and all the other government agencies because of what has happened with this train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. And you need to fix it and fix it fast. And that's the way I see it. Next. All right. The youth in the Mon Valley and the police departments. Now, it's so bad in the Mon Valley right now. In case a lot of you are not aware, do you remember in the summertime the Kennywood? I'm sure you do. And if you don't, I'll refresh your memory. Remember we had the shooting at Kennywood, and that involved youth. So Kennywood had to go back to some old rules. Now, the waterfront has to do it. Why? Because we have these obnoxious youth in the Mon Valley who are in some big gang, and they continue to terrorize the Mon Valley area. Homestead, West Homestead, Whitaker, all along that whole Mon Valley corridor, Duquesne, all the way to McKeesport. All right. Now, let me ask you this. What has law enforcement done about any of this? Nothing. Just like everybody else, just like the city, the county, and everybody else, they've done nothing. Later on, we're going to talk about this, but right now I'm getting after the Mon Valley communities. Now you have a curfew at the waterfront. And you know who has to suffer? The businesses there, because there are some of them that rely on teenagers to make their money. The good teenagers, not the ones that cause problems. Okay. And tonight I heard a guy say it's parroting, and we'll get into that too. And that tonight is the way I see it on this. Next, the IUP students who decided to play racist music and put racial slurs at a game. You know something? This stuff has to stop. This intimidation, racial slurs, throwing racist activities out there. You know what? We don't live in that kind of society anymore. All right. Okay. But you want to continue to make it that kind of a society. All right. People are trying to work together, not work against each other. And then the racial slurs have got to end. IUP students, those of you who did this, I'm blasting you tonight. That's the way I see it. All right. Tonight's Bonehead segment. The guy at the Pine Township Get-Go who tried to run over an employee because he didn't want to pay for his gas. Didn't want to pay for his gas. You know what? What a boneheaded move that is, that you don't want to pay for your gas. So you decide, well, I'm going to run over the employee. You know something? I used to work store security. Let me tell you a little story here real quick. I used to work store security, and I was working at a store. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the store because I don't want to, any of my fellow store security people, I don't want to give up their identities or anything like that. So I'm working at this store, and these folks stole some things. And I chased them out into the parking lot, and I walk up with my badge, and I flashed it up at them, and I said, stop right now. And they try to run me over. And I fell, and I broke, and I hurt my leg, and my leg has been hurting ever since. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So what I'm telling you is there are psycho people out there. And from the picture I seen of this guy, you know what? Society's in trouble. All right. And that's the way I see it on that bonehead. This bonehead here, this guy who tried to go through a federal building with guns. Are you kidding me? See, this is the example of why I keep saying that I think 90% of our society today is either on drugs on dope, drinking too much. Something is wrong with society to where we're not thinking straight and we're trying to go through a federal building with guns. Are you joking? Oh my. That is the way I see it tonight. Next, the inmate. The inmate near Knoxville, Tennessee, who tried to escape from the courtroom. And then he ran through the courtroom and he tried to escape to get out. And then what he does is he knocks over all these people, climbs out a window, and then gets busted as soon as he climbs out the window. He falls and gets hurt. What a bonehead that is there. He didn't make it. That's what happens when you're a bonehead. Next, the Central Catholic student who caused caused some kind of a ruckus because, see, Central Catholic went to Texas on a field trip. And what happened was this kid decided to post something on social media, and the FAA took it seriously and made all of the Central Catholic students get off their flight that they were on because of this kid. What a bonehead. And that is our bonehead segment tonight, brought to you by DJ Fun. Call DJ Fun today, 412-545-4317. DJ Fun for all your parties, weddings, and special events. Give DJ Fun a call today. Here's the number again, 412-545-4317. You don't realize it until you need a DJ that you're going to have a problem. And the problem is you're going to call some agency. They're going to charge you $2,000. They're going to charge you this. They're going to charge you that. You're going to get a guy who's unhappy because, see, agencies do not pay. All right? DJs that work on their own have less money, charge less rates because they're not working through an agency of third-party people. You understand? So when you call an agency and they charge you $2,000 for your wedding for a DJ and a photographer and whatever, or $3,000 or whatever these agencies charge, DJ Fun's not like that at all. DJ Fun will not take you to the cleaners. So give him a call today, 412-545-4317. Don't delay, call today. Dates are booking fast. So make sure you get a hold of him today. Very reasonably priced, and he will not take you to the cleaners. DJ Fun, give him a call today. All right, my life story. Not much happening this past week. Kind of chilled out a little bit, but I spoke again at City Council on Tuesday, and I said a few things that were good. That I got an applaud by the usuals, the Miss Browns, and some of the other ones down there. I didn't see my man Devin, who was down there at the last meeting I spoke at, who criticized what I had to say and didn't like it because he thought I was racist toward his neighborhood. Okay, and I wasn't. I said all, including yours, all city neighborhoods. See, what I don't like is when people take my words out of context and they don't listen. Okay, I didn't say just his neighborhood. I said all city neighborhoods, including mine. Okay, is what I said when I made my comments. And if you go back to my archive shows, you will see what my plan is to get rid of the violence in Pittsburgh. And I know a lot of you don't like it, but that's too bad. All right, because the way I see it is this is what we need to do. And now we're sitting on our hands as we always, and we're still doing it. And we're letting this violence go on and go on and go on. And there's no plan. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that later. All right. But I spoke at City Council again, and I gave them some more recommendations on some things that they need to do to solve the violence situation other than what I did the week before. All right. Okay. So then I went to go get fitted for my diabetic shoes on Friday, which, the Drift, good evening to you as well. People hear whatever they want to hear. They hear whatever the media tells them to hear. Exactly. I'm part of the media, but I don't tell you what to hear. You hear whatever you want to hear. But if you want to hear what I have to say in intelligent conversation, you'll listen carefully. Because nothing on this program is BS. Okay? I just want you to know that. Everyone out there who thinks that I'm just here to talk, to hear myself talk. I'm not. I'm here to help you. If you don't want my help, that's fine. I know what you're saying. Oh, well, what can you do for me? Well, I try to tell you about renter's insurance. I try to tell you about life insurance. Okay. I've been there and done it. All right. I've seen what goes on when you don't have life insurance. I've been there and done it. I've seen what happens when you don't have renter's insurance. And I'm going to continue to preach that on this program because I don't want to hear no more people come on and say, I have this problem, I have that problem, because you trusted your landlord. Don't trust your landlord for anything. None. I don't care if they're religious people. Do not trust them. Because you know why? When it all comes down to this, to when you're outside on the street because you can't get nothing done because your place caught on fire or something happened, okay? That's where we are. So Friday, I went to go and get fitted for my diabetic shoes. A lot of you don't know, I'm not only just in a wheelchair, but I'm also diabetic. And I have to go get special shoes, so I go to the orthopedic place on Robinson and go get shoes, okay? So I decided, you know what? I was in really kind of no hurry to really kind of come back. So my wife and I decided we're going to take a different way. Well, the way we wanted to go, we couldn't because there was a bridge was closed to get to where we wanted to go. So I had to go yet another type of a way. Okay. And I decided to go through McKees Rocks. We stopped at the Silver Star Meat Deli place. I'll tell you what, I got a fish sandwich here on Friday for $8. $8 for a fish sandwich. And it wasn't a bad fish sandwich. It was about, about that big and, had a pretty decent fillet. They ask you what you want on it, and they put it on it fresh. They wrap it up in foil. $8. Not bad for a fish sandwich. The last decent fish sandwich that I remember I could get, there's a few places, I'll give you some suggestions. Although I don't want to put no shout outs for these businesses because they don't pay me to do it, but I will put a few out. The Wiener World downtown. If you don't know where Wiener World is, it's been there for a million years. The daughter runs it now, okay? Her father retired or passed. I don't know which one. It's been a while. But if you go to Wiener World down on Smithfield Street downtown, they have a really huge, big fish sandwich, okay? And what I mean, and what I'm saying is that they have a huge fish sandwich and fries. Now, last I checked, it was $11, but it's huge. It puts the Oyster House's fish sandwich to shame. And everybody loves the Oyster House in Market Square. I don't know where you see that, because I don't. Okay? All right? In Bloomfield, Donatelli used to have a great fish sandwich. You could go in there and get two halves at what was it, $2.50 or something. You could get a half-pound fish sandwich, and then it was $5 for the whole pound fish sandwich. And it was up to what about $6-7 recently before they closed. And thanks to laziness in the family and laziness out there in the employment world, Donatelli had to shut down after 90 years. Really sad. Okay. Armin's Bar in Bloomfield used to have a really good, dynamic, huge fish sandwich. Gretzler's out on Babcock Boulevard. Okay. They're about to close up soon. All right. Once again, can't find help. Okay. You could be the busiest restaurant in the world, but if you don't have the help, you can't run. They would rather close down than be embarrassed and not be able to serve food and have people waiting for 2 hours and being pissed. You want to see something interesting? Watch Bar Rescue. Watch Restaurant Impossible. Watch those shows. Okay? Watch what happens when John Taffer puts 200 people in a restaurant and they can't handle a simple stress test because they either don't have the staff or they're not trained well or there's a problem. Okay? And I can't understand why people are even opening up businesses anyway. Our inflation in our economy is horrible right now. Although I'm hearing here in Pittsburgh, the restaurants are making a bundle. I heard last year they made more money than they made in 10 years. And a lot of them are telling me that they cleaned out their COVID debt. Good for them. Okay? But what makes you want to open up a business right now? All right. They're opening up beer places everywhere, handcrafted beer. Supposedly, Pittsburgh is having this big beer festival that's going to be coming here real soon. And we're supposed to be number one in the nation in making handcrafted beers. Well, can't you tell? We have DUI rates sky high. Okay, you can't tell people walking around South Side like it's like nothing. All right, staggering all over the place. I've never seen people drink so much until I've been in this time. They say Milwaukee is supposed to be number one in drinking because they have Miller beer up there. But that's not the case. Pittsburgh, in many ways, has been number one in the entire nation in drinking. And bars per capita, okay, which means bars per block, there's more in Pittsburgh than there is anywhere else. Okay? Some bars who national chains have closed up because they don't want to pay the drink tax. I saw that happen. All right. Some smaller businesses went under because they couldn't pay the drink tax. This was before COVID. Okay. Drift says, amen. When I say media, I mean the clowns on CNN. Yeah, we know. The clowns on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, and so on. Okay. And the news in this town. They'll drive you crazy. They'll tell you to do something and you'll go do it. If the media gets on the news today and they said they want everybody to jump off a bridge, 90% of the people in this town would jump off a bridge. Because they did it for COVID. And I made numerous comments on all my archive shows about how I didn't appreciate the way Tom Wolf handled this COVID situation here. All right. Okay. Forcing businesses, telling them if they don't do this, they don't do that. And Josh Shapiro, who I voted for, and the only reason, again, I told you I voted for him was because I didn't appreciate Doug Mastriani being part of that January stuff down at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. If he wasn't part of that, I would have voted for him. Because he had a point in all his campaign ads. And it's true. Josh Shapiro supported Governor Wolf, or dictator Governor Wolf, or a former dictator Governor Wolf, okay, when it was COVID and he made business, he forced businesses to close down or he's going to take them to court. Is that the way you handle things? No. Okay. And the drift is right with his comments or her comments. Okay. Do you catch what I'm getting at? If the media was to come on today on radio, news, social media, I mean, all these, crazy networks and tell you, go to a nearby bridge and jump, you probably would do it. And there's enough people in this town that are so drunk and so high on pot and dope and, I don't even want to go there, okay, anymore, okay? And they're so dumb that they would believe it and do it, okay? And sometimes the national media makes big issues out of things that probably don't need to be made of. And they drag things out of proportion, take words out of context. They do it all the time. People do it to me. All right? I never said, thanks, Drift, for correcting me on that. I wasn't sure. But anyway, I do appreciate you watching as always. And I appreciate every one of you who watched this program. And you're going to be able to listen to it here in Pittsburgh and around the country on the website of the radio station that I'm going to be putting my show on radio. And I will let you know when that happens, and it's coming soon. Okay? It's coming soon. The way I see it is going on local Pittsburgh radio. And I'm going to blow everybody out. And, I don't mean to beg or ask, but I'm looking for sponsors for the show. If you're interested, hit me up on my Facebook page. All right? If you have a business and you need help and your business is slow and you want me to help you on this program here or on my radio show, hit me up on my Facebook page or my email at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. Okay? If you're a business owner who's out there right now, who maybe is having some issues with your business, you might be having some problems making money. You want to get it out there and you don't want to pay $6 million like all these other places because my rates are reasonable. Okay? So hit me up, ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. If you're interested, if your business is hurting and you need some help, and I'll send you the rates. Help me to help you. Help me to get on the radio here in Pittsburgh. Help me to get things rolling so that we can spread the way I see it throughout the Pittsburgh area on the radio. And stick it to the stations who wouldn't put this program on there at all. And I told them, and I warned them, okay, that I was going to do something, whether you were going to do it for me or not. All right? I have the show. I have the talent. I speak different things. It's called The Way I See It for a reason. But see, Pittsburgh media here, they don't want that. And I'm not going to name names, but there's 2 or 3 other people that have done this in the past, and they don't want them on the radio. They don't want me on the radio because I tell it like it is. I tell it the way I see it and it looks. And of course, in this town, there's something wrong with that. And that's why we have what we have. And that's why there are people who are happy with that. But there are people out there that are not happy with it. They want something else. They want to hear something else. They don't want to hear the same thing every day. Okay? I will tell you what station, and I will tell you when it's going to be on. It'll be on once a week on a radio station here in Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you where it's going to be when it starts to happen. Okay? And trust me when I tell you, it's going to be big. It's going to be huge. And these stations better look out because it's getting better and better. I have my sports stuff nationally. I can have this nationally too. And that tonight is the way I see it on that. Next, let's get into our key topics tonight. Earlier, I blasted the local governments in the Mon Valley for not handling this gang of Mon Valley teenagers that's terrorizing the entire area. They terrorize businesses in the waterfront. And I've heard this many times, not just now. I've heard this before from some other sources. Okay? Now, here's the thing that bothers me. The waterfront's been around since 1999. On the largest steel plant that used to be one of the largest steel plants, the Homestead Works of the United States Steel Company. The Mon Valley, Clairton, Homestead, McKeesport, all those areas down there, Duquesne, all that. West Homestead, that whole corridor down there, had many, many people that lived there for many, many years until they got laid off from the steel jobs. And then everyone blamed the union back in the 80s. Well, no, and they blamed President Reagan. Okay? That's a sore subject all over Pittsburgh. Nobody talks about it. I do. I think U.S. Steel is useless. They keep putting up new plants everywhere else, but the corporate headquarters is here. Why aren't they building these plants here? Or fixing up the ones they have so they don't keep getting fines, like the Clairton Coke Works. Okay? So, what I want to know is, who's to blame for this Mon Valley gang? I blame law enforcement. Because for years and years and years, all of the Munhall Police, Homestead Police, West Homestead Police, Whitaker Police, and whoever police didn't want anything to do with the waterfront when it was first built. Oh, you can't call this department because it's like, okay, I used to work for Steak and Shake, not the one in Homestead. I worked for another location. So I had a manager that was working at my location. He got transferred. You know what he told me? He said the dining room is split in half. If you collapse and you fall or you get hurt or you're having a heart attack, Munhall has to come. The other side of the diner, West Homestead or Homestead, has to come. And instead of everybody working together, even though portions of the mall are in different spots, they're fighting with each other. Okay? They're fighting with each other. And not one of these communities who knew when the waterfront was going to be built had ever decided to figure out a plan to have money to hire more officers, more policemen to solve for the waterfront traffic. So what did they do because of their laziness and stupidity? They went ahead and they told the mall people that they had to get their own security force. So now they got one down there, their own police department. In fact, it got so bad that they had to have their own police in that mall police. Just like Monroeville Mall. Okay? It got so bad they had to put a holding tank in there. And they had to put a police substation in there. Okay? So this is where the waterfront is at now. Okay? Now they have to have this curfew because we have these bad kids. And then you hear all these people, they get on the news and they go, I come down here all the time. I don't see none of these kids down here. Well, I don't know when you come down there, but if they're there and the businesses are telling you they're there, they're there. When they harass clients to come out of businesses and they rob people and they steal and they cause all kinds of ruckus, which is what they do at Kennywood, and nobody does anything about it except Kennywood. And Kennywood has known about this gang for years, and they didn't do anything to step up security. And they try to do, everybody tries to do everything on the cheap. And what happens when you do something, when it affects safety on the cheap? You get burned. So now the waterfront has gotten burned. And I'm not blaming them specifically. I'm blaming the police departments around there. Why wasn't this gang taken down a long time ago? When you knew that this was going on. And this gang has been going on for years now. They've terrorized Braddock. Okay? They've terrorized Homestead. They've terrorized McKeesport. Anywhere along that Mon Valley, all the way to Clairton, they've terrorized these neighborhoods. And guess what gets done? Absolutely nothing. Because nobody cares until somebody gets killed. And now it's so bad that there's a curfew at the waterfront. And what does that do? That hurts businesses who rely on teenagers, okay? Who rely on teenagers to be there for their business. Like the theater. Teenagers like to hang out at the theater. They like to go to the theater. And there's places at the waterfront they like to hang out. But I don't blame it on them. I blame it on the parents. And if you watched my show last week, I played some audio from Rich Kupka when he was in an interview involving him on Fox News. He was interviewed by national Fox News, and he was talking about Pittsburgh. And you want to know what the anchor at Fox News said? It's the parents. And again, we don't hold the parents responsible. Oh, we're afraid. Oh, we're afraid to even say anything to a parent. Because we might get sued. Or we might have a problem. Or somebody might get offended. Parents don't do their job anymore. They don't. I'm not saying all parents don't do their job, but the majority don't. They're too busy worrying about everything else instead of worrying about their child who's causing problems with guns, being involved in gangs, disrespecting people. Do I need to go on? The list is long. And we'll be here all night, which I don't have the time to do. Okay? So what I'm saying is that here we are. All right? We are here. we are involved once again with some laziness. Tomorrow, Mayor Gainey, okay, Mayor Gainey tomorrow, and Teresa Kell Smith are going to release the people who are going to be involved in these centers that these youth can go to. So I've been to city council twice, and none of my suggestions have I seen move. All I hear is talk. All I hear is complaining. All I hear is wasted talk. Oh, we need to do something now. Well, do it. Don't just sit there. Do it. We're now going to open up these youth centers so that the youth can go. The youth don't go there anyway. Why are they going to go there now? And once again, it's back to the parents. And I've said this on many shows. I've had arguments with parents. Oh, we can only do so much, Ralph. You don't understand. I get all these comments. Oh, Ralph, you don't understand parenting, man. You know, it's really difficult out here. I worked 6 jobs, and not my problem. I can lead you to, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that is exactly what happens here. I lead you to the water, but you won't drink. Okay? If you don't want me to say things about you being a bad parent, then don't be. If you don't want me to say, about your police department, then do something. If you don't want your name mentioned on here, then do something. And I'm going to keep on doing it until it's done. And this was a conversation that I had last week with Rich Kopka. He's going to continue to do what he's doing until something's done. And that's what has to happen. It's not because nobody cares. That's why. Nobody cares, and nobody cares about nothing. They all are entwined together. The last couple years beyond COVID, it has gotten so bad, it's ridiculous. Okay? I've had many conversations with my wife talking about getting out of this town when my mom passes. The only reason I'm here is because I have to stay with my mom. Otherwise, I'd get out of here. That's how bad this town is anymore. All right? But we've decided that even though we have 4 of our second cities, we call them, that we're still going to stay here, but we're going to try to do some things like spend a summer in one of them and come back in the winter. Like Erie. I love Erie, but not in the wintertime. This year, well, that hasn't been that bad. But most years, they get feet and feet and feet and feet of snow, and I'm not dealing with that. I can deal with that here. Okay? Maybe go to North Carolina for a summer and come back for the winter and come back in the summer up here. Be snowbirds. It can be done, and it can be done affordably. Okay? I can't tolerate this weather anymore. And I can't tolerate these ignorant people to be here all the time. I have never seen in this town what I'm seeing now. And I know what you're saying. It's not just here, it is everywhere. Because I've been in other places. And I will not deny it that there are people there. But it's not as bad as it is here. Okay? So now we have all these kids that were conceived when their mom and daddy were in their teenage years, like 12 and 14 and 15 and 16. And now they're making ruckus because their parents are immature and they don't know how to take care of these kids. The grandmas are no longer here. The great grandmas are probably no longer here, or they're trying to help take care of these kids and it's not working. You see what I'm saying? Do you realize what I'm saying? We're in a crisis situation here that has been caused because of bad parenting. And I'm not wrong about that at all. And you know it and I know it. Because I only speak it the way I see it here. And the way I see it right now, it's bad. It's bad all across the board. The Drift says, Ralph, I don't know. Yeah, I am a Bible believing man. I do believe in the Bible. I read the Bible every day, every morning. I do Bible devotions. I used to be a steady person at my church, but some issues happened there, and I'm not going to explain it. Now I'm a part-time member. Years ago, I used to tell people I believe and I pray, and you don't need to know nothing else. Okay? Yeah, I am a Bible believing man, and you're right. There's a dark spirit hovering over this country, and it's bad. It's a bad one. And you know, I'm going to say this. God has given us everything we wanted. This country has more than anybody. Go to some other country one time. They don't have running water. They don't have appropriate food. They don't have appropriate medical care. They don't have, you commit a crime, their prisons look like a hell. Okay? So go ahead and go to some other country, and then you'll understand what you got here, what you have here. And my late first wife said to me, well, she went to Mexico, and she said, you wouldn't know what it's like that you would be thankful for what you have in the United States until you see what Mexico looks like. Okay? Go to another country and tell me something. We have it all. We were given it all. And what have we done with it? We've messed it up. We've done everything wrong that's in the Bible. Everything. Okay? And now it's come back to bite us. And now we have 3 countries who are, and a fourth one getting ready to reunite nuclear weapons that are coming after us. Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia. And don't think it's not going to happen. With the way things are going right now and the thinking that's going on in this country, it could happen. That's why we have radical people out here who believe that there's going to be an Armageddon. That believes that there's going to be this kind of thing happening because it's looking that way. We have a president right now, which I'm going to talk about right now anyway, okay, who is in Ukraine, and he's going to spend another millions and millions of dollars, and he already put billions into the budget for this year for Ukraine. And I've said this many times, President Trump was right, even though I know what some of you think about him, okay? President Trump was right when he said we needed to get out of NATO, and he took us out of NATO. Why? Because other NATO countries don't do anything when it comes down to stuff. We have to pull. The United States has to do it all. And he was right. And everybody said it was full of crap. But he was right. Because Biden put us back into NATO. And let me ask you this. What has NATO done right now, other than maybe Germany and a couple other countries who have stepped up because we asked them to, or we had to get on their case to, or we had to get in their butt to help us with Ukraine? Guess what? Nothing. NATO is a waste. Okay? What? Oh, we got weapons or something stored in Poland, or something's going on in Poland. That's it. Germany's arguing with us because we're sending tanks over there, and they want to send their tanks over there. Well, don't Germany realize we need all the Ukraine people need all the tanks they can get? Okay? I would love to see Vladimir Putin have egg on his face. But Russia wouldn't be in this war if Trump was president. If Trump was president, you wouldn't be seeing balloons flying over our country. Because as I've said many times, the one thing I did admire about Trump was he took no jive, no bull from any of these countries. None of them. Okay? We let Russia keep our people over there and have done nothing to get them back. Brittany Griner we brought back. What about the rest? I gave them a suggestion. Send SEAL Team 6 over there. Find these people. We have all this satellite technology that we're supposed to have. And you mean to tell me we can't find these people there and get them out on our own and tell Putin to go like this? No. Oh, we don't want to offend the Russians. Oh, my. Okay? Watch the movie The Day After. It was made in the early 80s during the Cold War. The early 80s. Watch it. Because not only do we suffer, but that country suffers. The other country that attacks us suffers. But the interesting part is we're going to suffer more because there's going to be 4 or 5 countries coming after us if we don't do something fast. That tonight is the way I see it. Next, another shooting at another university at Temple. Temple University, another shooting. Michigan State, there was a shooting. It's really, really sad that college can't even be safe anymore. Because you got somebody out there that's shooting people. What, they didn't like it, what the college was like, or they couldn't get their scholarship? You got to watch. You got to be careful. You say something to somebody, somebody gets mad. And they go and they start shooting up everywhere. You have a mental crisis in this country. No kidding. In this state, they closed all the state hospitals down and they got everybody running all over the place. Trying to do it on the cheap. Oh, we'll send them to Mercy Health. We'll send them to UPMC. We'll send them to Western Psych. There's no room for these people. They're out on the street running all over the place. I know many people. I know at least a dozen people in this town that need to be put in a mental place and stay there. But they're not because there's no room for them anywhere. And the laws are so silly that there's nothing going on. They can't do anything with them. UPMC, which of course sometimes what comes out of their mouth is a lie, has said many times, oh, well, we're going to close down McKeesport Hospital and ship everybody to Monroeville that has an emergency. It's not that far. And we're going to put the mental ward in there, and that's going to be a mental hospital to back up Western Psych. Never happened. Then they had it at Braddock Hospital, and you see what happened to Braddock Hospital. They tore it down, and now it's something else. Okay? So what's the plan? Again, nothing. Nobody cares. So there's no plan. Next, striking workers at the Post-Gazette trying to get Alan Block removed. He's part of this National Society of Labor movement or some labor thing. And they're trying to get him removed because of what's been going on at the Post-Gazette. The organization doesn't want to remove him because they say he's a vital part of their organization. So I say to this organization, whoever you are, that Alan Block belongs to, that these strikers are trying to get him out of, I don't know what you're looking at. Okay? But I see an owner of a newspaper who is an idiot, who continues to just let his people stay on strike, and who cares? He hasn't given them a raise in 16 years, and they ask for a raise and get nothing. And then I showed you a video on my TV show and on here, a video of Alan Block and what he did to a reporter who asked him a couple simple, tough questions. And he blew him away. And his wife has a lot of nerve, because I found out that's his wife, to say, go out and get another job if you don't like the way things are. Now, that is wrong. And I've said this before, it's wrong. And I don't blame these workers for going out of their way to try to get Alan Block removed, okay, from this group or this organization, this national organization of businesses or whatever it is. It needs to happen. More of this needs to happen and less of that other stuff. But nobody cares. So, that's the way I see it tonight. The East Palestine, Ohio derailment. People are home now. They're having to clean their house because of all the soot and all the nonsense and all the chemical that went through their home. Homes are damaged. The water supposedly is bad. But we have all these expert people, including, Norfolk Southern, who I blasted earlier in the show, going on and on and on about how everything's safe. And again, they expect everybody to believe this. Now, this one guy I saw tonight who said, I've only had 2 headaches in my whole life, and now I'm getting a headache every day because of this. There's people out there having bad rashes. There's people out there having major health problems because of this. Norfolk Southern, on the other hand, who you don't know if you can believe them, what comes out of their mouths, saying they had to do that controlled burn and that explosion because in order to get everything where it needed to be because of this derailment that they caused. And it's going to take 6 years to clean it up, or forever in 6 years, as I always say, to clean this mess up. All the aftermath of dead fish, the bad water, the wells getting contaminated, people sick, people having problems, and here we are. And Beaver County having the same problem because that stuff drifted into Beaver County. It may have drifted here to Pittsburgh because we were having bad winds for days. Okay? Check your water. Make sure you have a filter or get bottled water or do something, because let me tell you something. You can't trust any of these people anymore because they lie to get out of a jam. And Norfolk Southern has been in so many jams over the years. So many. Look at the thing down at Station Square that happened in 2018. Jammed up the subway system of our town here for a while because of that nonsense. Not only did it do that, it cost millions and millions of dollars to clean up, and it took a while. There's been many derailments over the years in this whole area, in the whole western Pennsylvania area that Norfolk Southern hasn't cleaned. Many, many of them, and it cost millions and millions and billions of dollars. And then you hear people say, well, there's no real plan for this. Why? Why isn't there some kind of plan? That if there were to be a train derailment, there's a certain protocol that you need to follow or you need to do. Why aren't emergency agencies and towns and everything else that live along these tracks that have these trains going through their town have any kind of emergency thing? Why? Because we're too busy worrying about other stuff. We're too busy worrying about drinking, Xbox, PlayStation, TikTok, drugs, pot, booze. That's what we're too busy worrying about. We're not worrying about safety. We're not worrying about drinking water for people. And especially in Western Pennsylvania, where we have a lot of elderly people that live here. And I found out why a lot of elderly people live here, because people have said to me many times wherever I've gone, why do so many old people live in Pittsburgh or in that area? Because of our health systems. Go somewhere else and see what the health systems are like. Go to Ocean City, Maryland, and you got to go to Salisbury, Maryland for health care. Go there once. Go to some other places that don't have healthcare systems. Sugar Creek, Ohio, you have to go to Akron to a hospital. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? That's why there's a lot of elderly people still here in this Western Pennsylvania area. Well, the weather's so bad. Why are there so many elderly people here? Well, that's why. Okay? And they're in Florida, and there's a lot of snowbirds. They go down there in the winter and come back up here in the summer. And that's what I'm going to try to become because I can't deal with this cold weather here. And I feel bad for people who are stuck living in places like Alaska and some of these other places where the weather's so bad that you just can't get out of it. Live along the Great Lakes once. The interesting part about it is this year our weather is so screwed up that the places that normally don't get snow are getting it, that don't get cold are getting it. It's a weird winter this year. It's been tough. It's been a weird one all winter long. I'm happy that we're getting the best of them, but that's fine. I want to send my prayers, and I think you need to do as well, out to John Fetterman. And just found out tonight that John Fetterman is going to be in the hospital for a little longer than thought process. All right. Also want to send my prayers out to Jimmy Carter, 98 years old. Former President Jimmy Carter is going into hospice care. And I know what that's like because I have had some relatives that have been in hospice care. And I know exactly what that is. That means real soon you're going to be seeing the Lord. Okay? All right. Let's talk about a few small topics here before we go. Tuesday morning stores filing for bankruptcy. Who would have thought? I think Big Lots is going to go next. And there's some other companies out here. These brick and mortar stores just aren't working anymore. And if they want to stay with the Jones boys, like some of the other department stores have done, you'll go online and start selling stuff because that's the way of the world. That's the way I see it tonight. Starbucks is reporting that their vanilla latte is being recalled. They're having issues with something within the vanilla frappuccino latte or something. So Starbucks is recalling all that. That's the way I see it. Barbara Wark. Those of you who don't know who she is, she's the city council person who got elected to continue Corey O'Connor's term because he moved on as county controller. And he's running again this year in the race to become a full-term county controller. So Barb's going to try to get a full term in city council. She's running. I'm trying to get her on the Ralph Williams one-on-one show for an interview. Have been unsuccessful so far, as I've been unsuccessful with Corey Mosley as well. Still working on getting him on. He's running against Ricky Burgess. And we spoke about that on my last show. Watch all my archive shows on my YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 by the summer. We're up to 87 already in subscribers. That's the way I see it tonight. Warner is canceling the People's Court and Judge Mathis. Wow. Them shows have been on forever. People's Court's been on forever. Gosh, People's Court was on when I was little. It's still on. But they're canceling them due to lack of viewership. That's the way I see it tonight after 20 seasons. So, there we are tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Also, Bed Bath & Beyond hurting. I'm hearing rumors Subway's having issues. Well, Subway is having issues because Subway continues to hire all these expensive jocks and athletes and celebrities to do their commercials. I know what they have at Subway. You don't have to tell me, and I don't want to hear about your new menu. Stick to the basics. Stick to what you know, because sometimes that's what works for you. When you get too big in menu and you end up having issues, just watch Bar Rescue. Restaurant Impossible. Watch those shows. Hotel Impossible will help you too. When you go to stay at a hotel next time, you have things to look for. I'm Ralph Williams. It's a pleasure being here tonight as usual. Next week we'll be back at 7 o'clock p.m. right here. Happy President's Day to you tomorrow. I want to wish everybody a happy Fat Tuesday. All right. Mardi Gras started this week, and already there's problems in New Orleans during the parade. Oh, well. What else is new? Nobody cares. That's the way I see it tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m., Paul says meatball sub with green peppers, nothing the matter with that. Exactly. I eat their meatball sub as well. I don't have a problem with their meatball sub. Stick to the basics. They keep on coming up with all these 10, 12, 15 hoagies or subs at Subway. And what's happened to them? And they have a lot of competition out there. You got Firehouse, you got DeBella's. You've got many other sub places out there. And that includes the pizza shops and pizza franchises that have subs. So Subway has a lot of competition out there. Subway should stick to the basics. That's what they should do. We get back to this tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams, and Smoking Jim Frazier. Tomorrow night we have Sal Tarataglia coming on from Philly. He's going to talk about the Eagles. They lost their coordinators to head coaching jobs. What's Nick Sirianni's next move? What's the Eagles' next move? And we'll talk about the Super Bowl with him. And also, we have a lot of NFL news tomorrow, XFL news, a lot of former Steeler coaches and players. I'll tell you, we'll give you the rundown tomorrow night. And also, Matt Venzel will be our guest at 8:30 tomorrow night as soon as the show starts. He's the beat reporter for the Post-Gazette that covers the Pittsburgh Penguins. What's wrong with the Pens? We'll find out tomorrow night. Wednesday night, 7:30, Talking Wrestling. Myself, Smoking Jim Frazier. We'll be talking the best of stuff in professional wrestling with WWE, AEW, and more. And don't forget, Thursday night, 7:30 p.m., Blog Talk Radio, sports wrestling show with myself, Mark Mancini, Smoking Jim Frazier, 347-205-9631. This Friday, also 5 p.m., the External Bum podcast with myself and Bruce Kessinger. We talk about bums in sports and much more in sports as well. 347-205-9631, Blog Talk Radio. I'm Ralph Williams. It's great having you here tonight. Thank you for watching, and be safe. And don't forget to check out my archive versions, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a good night. Be safe.